Hey guys, welcome back to another episode here on the Casual NBA Fanatic podcast. Here in today's episode, we're just really going to be going through one of our predictions of one of the award races for this year, being the Rookie of the Year ladder for 2025. And quickly to lay down my criteria for this award and how I'm going to really be giving out my ranking for who I think will land here on this ladder, I'm particularly grading who I think will have the most impactful rookie season relative to their situations. Obviously, for rookies, basic production and entertaining narratives is what is beloved and what does receive votes in this award. And, two main things go into this. You have opportunity, like basically how many responsibilities are given to you upon your debut season, particularly we're talking about like starting roles, involvement in actions. That is what is going to help these guys get their numbers up. Secondly, though, just having like a polished skill set, not just in terms of like the actual skill level, but also just in terms of the game sense, the intelligence and timing. Like how polished are you of a basketball player with your IQ? And that is what will help you like contribute to the modern NBA in your first season. And so for that fact, mature basketball players are the rookies that are going to shine in the regular season. And so this isn't really a list of who I think will be the best in the future, but more just a list on who I think will be in the best position to contribute to both winning basketball and high production for a rookie for this season. Just to give out my honourable mention before I head into my top 5, I want to give a shout out to VJ Edgecombe. Personally, for me, I believe VJ is just in a situation where there is a high likelihood that he could be in the play-in seed or even below that. We're talking about the health concerns that probably will eventuate once again between the Stars and Embiid and Paul George, but we really do have no clue about their health. Obviously Embiid and George at their age do take away a lot of those possessions for VJ. Obviously, the toll on each of their bodies at this point, we actually have no clue if they're going to be healthy for majority of the season. And that's why I would majorly consider VJ for this list, considering he may actually have a lot of responsibilities, especially towards the back end of next season, putting up some appealing numbers. But we don't really want to judge off hypotheticals, and for that aspect, I can't put him in my top 5 over these other guys who I just believe will be given those opportunities a little bit more consistently throughout the year. I also think VJ, whether he starts or comes off the bench, he with Embiid on the roster, you're kind of just being surrounded in a pace stalling type of offense. And there are so many other offensive weapons that the Sixers have who they're going to prioritize as they do try to make a playoff push if they are healthy. And undoubtedly, there are more talented guys on this roster and more talented wings on this roster. You still got Quentin Grimes and Kelly Oubre. I just don't think VJ will be in a situation where he can actually compete for this award with the production of the other guys around the roster. And so with that, to start my Rookie of the Year race, at number 5, I have Jeremiah Fears landing here at the number 5 spot. And when we're talking about the projected responsibilities and opportunities of these rookies, for Jeremiah, you got DeJounte out for at least the first half of the year with his Achilles injury, and that does give time for Fears to slot in at that starting point guard position and earn some valuable minutes there and valuable experience early on in his rookie campaign. Look, I don't really believe the situation is great for him at all. Like, you talk about the floor spacing for the Pelicans roster. You got Herb Jones, Zion, Derek Queen, Yves Missy. It's not amazing, and he's playing with another high dosage volume shot hunter in Jordan Poole in his backcourt already as well. But in terms of just the opportunity of being able to start and the opportunity for someone who does seem extremely polished enough of an angle hunter and just a general rim pressuring guard, that's just why I believe he will land here. I think he'll put up enough production, and he's just an extremely mature, overall downhill guard, and that's really what gives you the relatively intriguing baseline for his rookie season coming into next year. Obviously Summer League was a bit of an up and down experience with Fears, but in terms of the high intensity motor, that was completely on display as a lead ball handler for that Summer League team. And the Pelicans do have more of an incentive to dig deep into Fears' skill set rather than Jordan Poole's in this next season now. Obviously, you talk about the upside impact as well. We know how much more valuable it is to have not just a mediocre pull-up jump shooter, but also more just going towards someone who can actually generate real rim pressure and real advantages for a team. And fears, mate, with obviously Zion having a lot of question marks in terms of the health, I mean, we actually might see Fears just have greater responsibilities given to him as the lead initiator towards the back end of next season if Zion's health deteriorates once again. Obviously, the efficient shot hunting is the biggest piece here for me, and that's why I do think he's a more valuable asset than Jordan Poole at this point in their careers. And in these races, basic production number will be one of the biggest markers for voters, and I wouldn't be surprised if Fears does rank in the top 2 for field goals attempted amongst his rookie class this season, and that will undoubtedly lead to a decent number of points per game. I know we're talking about this very casually, but this is the Rookie of the Year race. This is one of the biggest criteria, is just basic stats. Do they come out and pop out to you on first glance? Obviously, the volume passing reads and the volume passing attempts that he'll be given as a designated advantage creator for the Pelicans will also add to his case and his respect in his Rookie of the Year case. And he has some real tools to already lean on. I mean, he can break those strength barriers on the perimeter with his dashing speed. Got some really nice acceleration punch behind him with those agile direction variances that he can throw in the lane. Such a nimble frame as well. It's extremely appealing for this. And though the rim pressure will be far from a high level, I just think he will get enough reps to put up some respectable numbers as a rookie relative to his class. And that's why I do think he will land here in this top 5. Now moving on to number 4, I have Tre Johnson from the Washington Wizards. Someone who I believe will be a superb fan favorite straight off the bat. I mean, you just talk about the entertainment value that he already brings and the projected media coverage that he will already get with the extremely fun shot-making piece that he already brings as a rookie. I just reckon Tre will be someone who's in a position to crack this list 100%. When you're playing for a mediocre team that really welcomes what you bring as a talented basketball player off the bat with the shooting aspect, I just think he'll be in a position where he will be credited to put up nice numbers. I mean, for Tre, he's basically already a professional tough shot maker in this league. He hunts them at a high rate already, and he knocks them down at a very decent level. And though the Wizards will be pushing, no doubt, for a play-in seed, I just think they'd be completely satisfied with the amount of talent that they've already stacked up already. So I just think Tre will get heaps of recognition if they can push into that top 10 seed. And if he can provide that sparking punch off the bench to start the season and then possibly sliding into that starting group if, CJ or Chris are either dealt or, rested due to their age and redundancy of their on-court talent. I just think, considering the Wizards' rebuilding situation, but also the excitement surrounding them heading into next season, I just think Tre Johnson will get a lot of media attention for that. But just in terms of being a polished asset already, and that is really just the trait that teams should be looking for. Teams like Washington who are going to start trying to win some bowl games as well. Just bring in someone who can provide either role player value or just someone who can throw out flashes of star power with their defined skills. And Tre fits that archetype more so. He's just a real finesse shot hunter. Someone who rises up high to get as much of those over-the-top advantages as he can. A very decent athlete who is extremely committed to the off-ball value spectacle. Just with the movement shooting base that he already brings as well. And for the Wizards, I mean, that's going to provide a ton of value off the bat in a system that does have 5-out spacing with Alex Sarr at the 5. But we're also talking about a team that does lack a lot of consistent shot making amongst their young group. And in terms of opening up lanes and opening up space close to the rim with his gravity, I just think Tre just has a higher upside than most of these pull-up shooting prospects. And his slot will make the game substantially easier for Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Coulibaly, Keyshawn George, just with that extra value that he brings off ball, and he'll get a ton of recognition for that if the Wizards can crack a top 10 seed. I doubt he's going to crack the top 3 for this Rookie of the Year campaign just purely because he sometimes has lapses in game sense and intelligence as an offensive piece. And flipping to the defensive side, I mean, with just how developed of a versatile array of talent that this Wizards team has defensively, I just think Tre will be attacked ruthlessly every single night. And obviously he won't be able to hunt downhill pressure either as effortlessly on ball compared to some other of his rookie counterparts. And it really just there's just not much of a physical advantage for him. The speed is nice, but it's not elite. He doesn't have an agile frame or strength distribution leading toolkit yet to get to the rim just yet. And So with that, I just think he lands at number 4, and I think he lands behind guys who I just think will either bring more variety of impact or just a more polished offensive impact. And leading with that, to start my top 3, I have an offensive orientated guy landing here. Someone who is in a situation where he will no doubt get a ton of reps and opportunities through the entirety of next season and is almost guaranteed a starting spot from the get-go, which is not something that Tre Johnson will have, certainly. And with a projected starting role immediately, I have Kon Knueppel here from the Charlotte Hornets to enter my top 3. Kon is one of my favourite guys from the draft. Someone who's tremendous overall in the Summer League, just with his intensity and the high motor that he plays with, just speaks to his maturity as a basketball player. And leading from that, you talk about the extra polish that he provides as an offensive prospect, which just more comes from the off-ball movement, which is by far the best in the draft class. Like we talked about what Tre Johnson can bring, this guy is one of the best route runners that we've seen in recent NBA drafts. Obviously, much of this expected value of the off-ball stuff will come if he can continue his scorching shooting from college to the NBA level, and that is a question mark for Kon and does make his game relatively dependent on one singular skill. And if he can unlock that, like we know he can, that will unlock all of his value. And I just trust the mechanics that he has, the shot hunting, the confidence and the precision that he plays with, that he will no doubt be a knockdown shooter from day one. I just think it's inevitable that he will be one of the great shooters in this league. And he's just an incredible competitor as well to add to that. I mean, you just talk about someone who is going to be the absolute best version of himself without a doubt in year 1. I mean, his frame is quite strong for his age as well. He does enough with the spot up and closeout attacking. He's got strong fundamentals to team offense with the connective passing, being able to protect his body as much as he can at the rim, and having a mindset to commit to healthy offense and not forcing these low quality looks, which will boost the Hornets' fun team offense for sure. And in terms of the fit with LaMelo, I mean, Kon will just probably be running a ton of action as a tertiary option in 3-man actions. He'll be setting a lot of guard screens with his pop threat. Just an ability to read and confuse defenses as well off the ball. It'll be extremely interesting if Kon can do some stuff, attacking mismatches on switches, or if he'll be limited by the lack of athleticism that he has. But as far as those 2-man actions go, Kon just offers Charlotte just another option, to add another mature ball handler off the bat. And I just think the Hornets are just adding to their boastful offensive talent already just by bringing in Kon Knueppel, and they're going to be extremely fun to watch with a trio of LaMelo, Kon, and Brandon Miller. I just think the Hornets will just see a ton of value purely just because their team is built already around 2 relatively erratic offensive players, guys who are bad defensive options. And I just think Kon breaks the mold of this inefficient offensive star notion that is in Charlotte between Miller and LaMelo. I just think he brings more off-ball value than any of the other guys on the Hornets roster. And I just think in terms of the maturity to his game and his approach to healthy offensive basketball, I just think that's a real difference to what they don't get out of LaMelo and Brandon Miller just yet. And that's where you will see a ton of value. And he might bring a real cultural shift to Charlotte in year 1 already. For Kon's case, I'm not projecting huge production, but I'm projecting heaps of impact for Kon, especially compared to Fears and Tre Johnson. I just think he's proven enough with what he can provide as a versatile offensive piece enough for year 1, especially from what we saw through the Summer League. Through everything that we've seen from college, through the NCAA tournament to the Summer League, I just think he has to be projected as a top 3 rookie next season just purely because of the maturity. And this isn't about who I think will be the best from this class, for the future. I just think Kon will be one of the most valuable rookies to date in this rookie draft. And for that, he does land here at number 3 for me. Now, heading into the top 2, I think it seems pretty obvious who will land here. You really just have the 2 most polished, most versatile, and really just the best guys from our draft. And at number 2, I have Dylan Harper, which I don't think comes at any surprise. I mean, equally with my number 1 guy, who I think you guys all know who it is, I think Dylan Harper is someone who will be tasked quite heavily straight away for San Antonio. I think he'll be their second perimeter initiator in the starting group. someone who already brings an already mature skill set to the table. You talk about the extreme agility-based shot creation tools as a downhill athlete, and that's really just where the intrigue starts, when he can contribute to efficient basketball. Obviously, you talk about the decent base that he already has. You talk about the speed, the strength for a guard, which is already relatively established for his young age. But the reaction processing is really just the cherry on top of a prospect that does project to be an all-star in this league. Talk about the ball handling strengths that he brings off the bat for San Antonio. Absolutely great. You talk about the passing chops, which will be accentuated by playing with maybe the most overpowered off-ball center in league history in Wembanyama. And if Harper can prove to be a positive asset, possibly providing some nice guard screens in inverted actions for Wemby, being a strong closeout attacker with the agile frame, being an active off-ball cutter similar to Stephon Castle. If he can bring those off-ball traits, then we could be seeing a top 100 level role player in his first season. Something that we didn't see from last year's rookie class at all. And I just think with all the stuff that Dylan can provide on both on and off the ball, I just think he is really in a great position to oppose himself as one of the best players in the league in year one. Obviously, the Spurs will be fighting for, at worst, a play-in seed, and with Harper's two-way impacts, I think that would most definitely help the starting backcourt so strongly, especially when he is paired with a more inconsistent defensive guy in De'Aaron Fox. Talk about the extreme ball pressure traits that we saw from him in some league, just with the agility helping him in the lateral movement department. And that just makes him possibly a positive on the defensive side already in year one. And he exhibited all of those traits in the summer league. And the only real drawback for Dylan in his entire game at the moment really is just the shot-making piece, which actually is more defined than guys like Jeremiah Fears and VJ Edgecombe. And it's not really just... It's more just the actual skill piece of the shot making that will limit his effectiveness offensively when he isn't on ball. The one thing to be intrigued about with the shooting here is that we're talking about one of the most polished shot creators in the draft and one of the most polished shot creators that we've seen in the last 3 drafts in general. We're talking about someone who will be able to leverage that downhill pressure to get those high-quality looks on the perimeter more so than his rookie counterparts. And that's why with the shot-making piece, yes, it is a drawback in year one, but I don't think it will be as bad. And he actually might be able to offer quite similar production from beyond the arc to what we see from De'Aaron Fox year by year. I think it'll be interesting to see what Dylan can bring to the Spurs in year one. And really just more of an interesting thing is just what role that they'll be carving out for him. He's just such a versatile piece who can fulfill so many roles as they enter this contending phase. Especially when you also have Stephon Castle, who's probably going to be more of your designated off-ball mover and athletic flexing transition guy. You got De'Aaron Fox as well to share the floor with him as another primary ball handling option. And really, between these guards, I just think Dylan is a more polished ball handling option than anything that you'll see from Stephon Castle, at least next season. And he's someone who can be more weaponized as an off-ball asset, but he also brings the athleticism, the cutting, the powerful closeout attacking. And then, obviously, De'Aaron Fox is someone that does lean towards more of that pull-up shooting. And I think someone like Dylan Harper, who's such an aggressive downhill athlete with the ball in his hands, I just think he'll mesh fairly well. And he can provide enough value on the margins as a rookie already with the versatility of his impact. I just think that the slot here will be absolutely fine. And though the spacing overall will be relatively clogged, we're talking about a lineup that features Jeremy Sohan, Stephon Castle, and obviously we know Wemby's streaky shooting from time to time. De'Aaron Fox isn't a plus shooter for his position either. And obviously those things will weigh against Dylan Harper's ability to generate clean rim pressure. I just think he is talented enough to earn himself at least a respectable enough usage rate amongst this group, and also is enough of a cognitively skilled downhill pressure to put up respectable numbers that should land him here as one of the best year one rookie performers this coming season and one of the best rookies that we've seen in a few years' time. Now moving on to number 1. I don't think this will be any surprise to anyone. Like I said before, I think obviously at number 1, I have not just the best and most talented guy in the draft, but I have someone who will have ample avenue to flex his versatile gifts for a team that is competing for the title, and that is clearly Cooper Flagg. And so the argument with Cooper really just starts with the opportunity, and for Flagg, the starting unit seems to involve him either way they go. To start the season, while Kyrie remains out, you most likely will see a lineup of D'Lo, Clay, Flagg, AD, and Derek Lively. But if you're skeptical about the double big look, I mean, the Mavs can look for some D'Lo, Clay, Christie, Flagg, and AD lineups. And, flipping on from that, if you're even more skeptical about Clay's fit at this point in his career and you want to lean fully into the physical identity, I mean, you could have a D'Lo, Flagg, PJ, AD, and Derek Lively lineup that would absolutely destroy the glass and possession battle. And so basically, the point is, whatever the Mavs choose to run in terms of their rotation, Flagg just features perfectly in each option because he reeks that versatility of every single sense. Defensively, he's going to slot picture perfectly on any team. And for this Mavs team, I mean, talk about schematic and assignment versatility with the frame that he blends with the extreme space coverage, the tremendous playmaking instincts, the super talented perimeter sliding, the elite contesting coverage on the perimeter, the relatively strong power absorption, the established recovery powers. He's going to fit perfectly next to a double big look in AD and Derek Lively. I just think Flagg will be one of the strongest wing stopping options in basketball and someone who'll be able to convert that defense to offense with being a powerful transition piece who may only really be held back in transition by the limited high-tier passing across the roster. But just in terms of fitting on this particular roster, he'll be asked to do a lot of perimeter stuff, and he'll be absolutely fine with that. And then when you flip to the offensive side of the ball, yes, the spacing is raw, but the movement that Flagg provides with the rangy length and the fast speed that he provides as a cutter, a versatile pick and roll piece, a transition accelerator, a plus spot up option off ball with the slashing abilities and the mature approach to extending advantages. I just think whatever it is that you're asking for Cooper on the offensive end, besides relying heavily on the shooting, I just think Flagg is simply going to flourish for the Mavs, just giving them multiple avenues of impact on the margins on both sides of the floor. And that is the beauty when we're talking about Cooper, who may be the most versatile player that we've seen in the draft, maybe even ever. And don't expect all-star level value in year one, even with Kyrie out. Don't expect him to... He'll have high volume on-ball reps relative to a rookie, but don't expect him to be putting up any 20, 10, and 5 stat lines. But you have to expect Flagg to possibly turn out to be a top 50 to 60 player in this league already after year one, batted off the diversity that he brings to the game. And he's that good, and he will ooze positive impact from the get-go, and he will probably place here in any situation as the best rookie of this class, just purely because the impact is just that portable. You can't keep going on about it enough. I mean, Dallas will absolutely love Cooper in year one, and he is a perfect foundation block for the Mavs to build their future upon in a league that prioritizes positional versatility, portability, and the ability to thrive around any and all types of talent above all else. And team results for Cooper are his priority as a basketball player, and he will basically exhibit this without a doubt in year one. And so for that, he is my favorite to win the Rookie of the Year for the 2025 and 2026 NBA season. And with that, obviously that rounds out our top 5 for our projected Rookie of the Year campaign. Obviously a few obvious picks here, especially with Coop and Harper themselves as clearly the best guys in the draft, who are in ideal situations, who definitely should be up for huge rookie campaigns. But obviously it's nice to shed light on guys who I respect as some of the most mature prospects that we've seen come into the draft, and some people who I think will either put up really nice numbers or just give immense impact and cultural shifts to their NBA teams already in year one. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I'll be back with some more content very soon.